So welcome Nikita Ketkar. This is Nilima Bhatt. We're going to engage in our next Shakti dialogue on this really auspicious day of Vijaya Dashmi, which is the end of the 9 Navaratri days of Durga Puja. Today is the 22nd of October 2015. And we are in Mumbai. The goddess is being celebrated all around us. It's been an oppressive heat. It's almost as if we have felt the heat of the goddess's battle with all that is false in us and around us, which is what the demonic force of Mahishasura represents, the being who she battles and finally vanquishes. So on this auspicious day where the battle is over, the goddess's victory is being announced, it is of note that I'm having this conversation with Nikita, which is going to be her final session of a 10-month coaching journey, which is based on the Shakti leadership model. And she has also come to our Shakti leadership retreat, which was a week-long program in the Himalayas last month. So it's a great occasion to really understand from a real life practicing leader like Nikita, who really embodies Shakti leadership, who is following her passion, her purpose. She has set up a NGO called Masoom, which runs night schools in the Mumbai area, and she used to be an IPS officer and left all that to set up this path for herself. And I feel very honored to have been asked to coach her, and that she's been with us on this journey as a collective with other inspired women leaders in the country. So Nikita, tell us, what does it feel like? Today is your last day of the coaching session, and where are you? You've just gone through looking back on the notes you've taken and the ahas and the insights that happened along the way for you. So would you just share what is the sum total, the elixir, so to speak? You can also share a little bit about what the journey was like of these last 10 months. What was going on inside you? What were some key milestones achieved along the way as far as you're concerned on your sadhana, your personal practice?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nilima. I really feel blessed that we are doing this last session on this wonderful day. Just to take you back 10 months back when I met you through a common friend regarding Masoom. It was at that point of time we were at that point of time where Masoom was on the verge of scale up, and there were a lot of things happening in the organization. We were trying to build the team, and within me I was personally going through a lot of crisis because there was lots happening at home, there was lots happening in the organization, and I was not able to balance the two. A lot of churning inside me, very, very restless, and that was really seen in my you could see it that I was absolutely restless when I first met, and as it was willed, I somehow in spite of the busy schedule, I decided to do these sessions with you, and that was the best decision I would say that I took at that point of time, and it has really shown me the way ahead. So I really thank God for showing me the way, getting in touch with you. It was the will of God that really made me get introduced to you and start. So the first session I remember, and I have actually, when I was going through the notes also, I've written it down, that the kind of churning that I was facing inside, I was kind of trying to battle with my own self, my own things, and so restless that I had very explicitly mentioned in the diary in the first session itself that I want to be a calm and composed leader who is in charge of situation, who is able to lead the team, and who is able to then take the organization to the next level by touching maximum number of beneficiaries and taking the cause to the next level. And to be able to do that, I really have explicitly mentioned in the diary that I want to be calm and composed. I want to be able to take on all the responsibilities on my shoulder and take things ahead. And now when it is on when we are 10 months down the line, I feel that definitely I am a much more composed and a leader who is able to think very clearly. The journey started 10 months back, and within 10 months it looks like I have been on an accelerated path of having learned techniques to deal with so many things within and outside. So very explicitly I mentioned to Nilima during the sessions that I want to learn techniques so that I am able to achieve this peace within myself. And I did learn a couple of techniques which definitely have made me a stronger person, a leader who can lead. So I think at this point of time, all that I have gone through, right from some techniques of invoking the goddess, the presence technique especially, I made it a part of my life. When I do swimming, that's the time when I actually practice the presence practice, and that has given me tremendous shakti. Somehow it has changed my life. Masoom works with night schools, we transform schools, and when this journey started, I realized that I was actually working on transforming myself, and so with that transformation inside, I'm able to give much more to the night schools now. And I think 10 months has been as if it's been a huge 10 years of tapasya to be able to achieve whatever I have achieved. And I think I don't want to stop now. It's so much of energy, and the culmination has been the Nainital experience. The entire workshop that we did on Shakti leadership there has been the culmination, because all that I have been taking through the session in bits and pieces, there it was kind of reinforced and polished. So the ultimate polishing actually happened in Madhuban, where I could really and there were other women there who I could really relate to. So it has been a beautiful journey for me. And yet I would say that it is the beginning of a big journey, because I didn't want to stop at Masoom, I didn't want to stop at night schools. There are other issues that keep bothering me. It's the child sexual abuse, it's the rape that's happening against women. There's so many things, that social issues that bother me, and I have been thinking about how do I take this movement to the next level? The cause, of course, we work with night schools and it's an education cause, but deep inside I wanted to do something to bring peace in this world. And I think God has somehow got me in touch with Nilima, the entire Shakti movement, and now I think is the time to really take this ahead in whatever little way that I can to bring peace and harmony in this world. And I want to really do this with whatever experience that I have of running the organization. Whatever we work with night school girls, adolescent girls, and definitely this learning which has been absolutely transformative for me, I want to share it with the rest of the girls and women, so that really we are able to form a net, a web, and are able to work on our consciousness, on rising our consciousness. I think it has been a beautiful journey, and I would really like to thank Nilima from the bottom of my heart. I would first and foremost like to thank God for having really got me in touch with her, and and from here onwards, I really want to take this ahead. It is a mission for me now, and I'm going to express this and give it, surrender the will that I have now to the God to be able to give me that strength to take this ahead. It's just the beginning of the journey, but I know it's possible, and we definitely together can do it. So I look forward to get to working on taking the Shakti leadership movement ahead.
So thanks, Nikita. I mean, that was very special and straight from the heart. And I know these are your first thoughts that we've captured here on the mic. Just to kind of summarize the journey's learnings in the 5 broad bases of Shakti leadership, it'll be good to hear from you. As you know, Shakti leadership as a model has 5 broad bases that we learn to stand on and cultivate for ourselves. So the first base of Shakti leadership is presence. The second is the power of presence, which is Shakti, and how to then work from Shakti. The third is how to achieve wholeness. The fourth is how to be flexible between your masculine and feminine energies. And then the fifth is how to be congruent, how to be on purpose, how to find your purpose and then how to commit to it. How to find your Swadharma, which is also based on your Swabhav. So this in a nutshell is the Shakti leadership model. So maybe we can take each one by one and just speak a little bit. And as you're answering, perhaps it's for you to also generate your own summary and insight from your journey. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I were to ask you, the first base of Shakti leadership, which is presence, what have you understood of presence? How do you experience presence? And how does it work for you?
Okay. So for me, presence is about being with yourself. So when I say that I have nothing to resist, I have nothing. So it's basically invoking the goddess, my Guru Sai Baba within me, and just praying Om Ma Om Shri Ma, and it's about just being with yourself, just getting the bliss of being in that moment. It's about just getting deeper within yourself, invoking these divine beings within you, experiencing them, and just being in that moment.
So that is presence, and you also mentioned you have been using the presence practice that we've developed, and I have a recording that's available freely.
Yes.
Which is just a 10-minute practice you can do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Also to just remind our listeners that presence is about getting in touch with your higher self, and through that whatever is the form of divinity that you relate to. So if you come from a background where you connect with gurus and guides, then that is how the higher self and the divine self manifests for you to enter into relationship with. So Shakti leadership is actually a non-denominational, faith-friendly, faith-neutral model, and you're all invited to connect with any form of divinity that you relate to. So moving to the second base of Shakti leadership is the idea of power. That to know that a leader essentially exercises power to achieve outcomes that are necessary. And the realization that currently the old model of leadership is about exercising brute power, almost like an ego-based power, which seems to be like a win-lose zero-sum game. I need to exercise power over you, which means you need to give your power over to me, and this happens among leaders and followers. Whereas Shakti leadership says that there is an infinite amount of power available to all of us which we can tap within. And then when you engage with another person, you can share power and dance with it and play with it. And someone doesn't have to lose in order for you to win. It becomes a win-win thing. So can you describe the power of presence, which is Shakti, which is a very different kind of power than the normal ego-based force that one uses in order to get things done?
Yeah. So before actually I did the sessions, for me power was all about the haves and the have-nots. The haves having all the powers and like the politicians and the rich, and the whole idea was that power is in limited supply. But when I did the Madhuban workshop and I've done these sessions, I realized that there is something called as inner power, inner strength, and power is limitless. It is just in abundance, and it is there, and it's all about tapping your inner power, and the more you get that power, the more you tap into it, the more you are able to also share with others and create more and more power. And it's all about, and that is what is Shakti. It's not about you. So unlike the earlier the myth that exists that you have to keep having the power to yourself, the Shakti leadership talks about power which you create for your own self and also share with others. And I think that's the module which I'm looking at to. So based on the book Shakti Leadership, which Nilima has written, I think that there has to be a module which will facilitate this whole sharing of Shakti, sharing of power with everybody and creating of them. So for me, that is what is the ultimate, which is in abundance. It lies within you. You have to tap it. You have to go to your higher self, rise to your higher self, tap it within yourself, and then share it with others. And once you share it with others, they share it, and that's how the web is created, and that is how we'll be able to bring peace and harmony to this world.
Beautiful summary, Nikita. I'm so happy to hear you say that. The third base of Shakti leadership is wholeness. That a Shakti leader is whole, which basically implies that when we are not in our fullness, we tend to operate from only one part of our being, either our parent self or our child self or our masculine self or our feminine self. There are so many, we are like split beings, right? So we are operating from just a fraction of the fullness that we are, and therefore a fraction of the power that is available to us. How do you think you have found wholeness on this journey? How have you become a little more of a whole person?
Yeah, so at Nainital, when we were doing these sessions, you mentioned about this, and that is what actually really shook me at that point of time. That most of the times, and when we were doing actually the drama of the family drama and dharma drama, I realized that when we are in the family drama, which is the triangle, where we are there's the child in you, the adult in you, they're just pulling you apart, and there's so many divisions actually within you, and you're playing at that level. But when you're able to rise up, and when you're able to go to your higher self and experience that is when actually you are able to bring in that wholesomeness within you, and that's when I could relate to that triangle of dharma. And it's all about saying that it's you within you, bringing that divinity within you, because it exists within you, and that is that oneness. Once we realize, then all these divisions where you could have these lower emotions playing, which is the child, the adult, the adolescent within you, will stop, because you would have already risen. You are actually in congruence with the higher self, and your higher self is then controlling, and that's why you are in control. And then all these divisions or all these little
selves
will dissolve, and
or rather integrate.
Yes, or integrate. Yes,
Yeah.
integrate in that whole. So I love that whole explanation, and I have been in fact thinking about it, and that's why all the more reason why I've been practicing the presence practice and trying to consciously not allow the child, the adult in me, take control of me, or sometimes so these lower emotions take control, and I invoke the presence practice whenever that happens, and somehow it just keeps me together.
Yeah, so in the whole model for wholeness that we work with is the realization that we have all these selves. We have a parent self, we have a child self, we have an inner man, we have an inner woman. All of these are still unconscious, but if they are so-called driving our car, then we are going where they are going, and we are going to very unconscious places. Whereas if we make all from a place of presence, we can learn to integrate all these selves and in a way raise them up, make them conscious. So it's not about dissolving these parts of ourselves, it's about leveraging them. They bring very unique, beautiful gifts to us, all these parts. We should know how to be in presence and yet be childlike, access the wisdom of our parent self, access the wisdom of our inner man or our inner woman. All these have unique gifts to give us, provided we work with them consciously. If we are not conscious of them, they simply run us in a very unconscious way, right? So that is the model of wholeness, and I'm glad that you realize that presence is the way to really know how to gather all these parts and not lose track of any of them. The fourth base is flexibility. That a Shakti leader is flexible, and in this particular model we work with the idea of flexing between our masculine nature and our feminine nature. We did the polarity mapping, and we saw how one can be hyper masculine or hyper feminine, whereas one needs to know how to work with the positive masculine strengths and the positive feminine strengths, and as required in a situation, right? So if you look back on yourself as a leader and how you're showing up now, how has the idea of flexibility been of use to you? And are you able to actually flex between masculine and feminine energy? And does it help you?
Yeah, in fact, I was just going through those notes on, when we did that whole, the entire topic of masculine and feminine. And what has helped is, I like the word that you used, the word sonar. And you said that you need to be aware about every little thing. The
context awareness.
Yes, the context awareness. And that I think is very essential sometimes, and that has definitely helped me, because sometimes I tend to get very emotional, and then I realize that then I'm conscious about right now after I've done that, now I know that it's a kind of a mess. It's an alert that is coming to me that okay, when I get too emotional, I'm supposed to stop there and control my. And that's the balance I think we need to get, and that is the ultimate thing actually. Once you're able to sense it, once you're able to know that it is too much of feminine things that is happening, and that's when, if you are able to control it and have a balance, then I think it is the best way to go ahead. And now when I do consciously stop myself, it's a bliss, because earlier I would get into fights sometimes, I would get very angry, and then I would react in a different way at home, even at work. But now somehow I'm able to control my emotions, control so many things. And even sometimes the masculine, when it gets out of control, I'm able to control that. So I think it's all about getting the right balance, and I know it's very difficult, but once you are able to do that, I think it definitely helps. And I think just getting into the presence, because it's very difficult, you just cannot do it by saying that no, now you have to be less emotional, or you have to be less you have to be in control. You just cannot say it and it's going to happen. You need to do it through the presence practice. So I realized that again there the presence practice is helping to just get that balance out, and I think that has worked for me.
So now or maybe later, if any example comes to mind, a real life situation that happened at work that you can share, it'll be fun to hear.
Yeah, in fact, like I would like to share. Generally, when the senior team, we have about 37 people working, and a very few senior people. And earlier, when the senior managers or any of the managers would come to me saying that we want to resign, I would be completely devastated, because, and I would think about what is going to happen to that, the tasks that they have on hand and the responsibilities, and there's so much to do. Recently, when I've come back, there was a very, in fact, a staff member who's been with me for almost since 2008, since the time the organization started, came to me and said that he has some, problem at home and won't be able to continue. And my initial this was that, oh my God, I mean, you can't just do this, and how can you even think about it, because you've been with us and we've given you so and I realized that was happening, and I said, okay, we'll talk about it later. That's all I told him. And I just got into this 10 minutes thing where I just was with myself, and I in fact told my assistant that I want to be alone for some time, and I practiced it. I called him back after 20 minutes inside the room, and I just took it and I said, it's fine, if you think this is what, because if you have a problem at home, you can take your decision, but we'll talk about it later. And I was I was amazed at my own reaction. Otherwise it would be that, oh, you should think about it, and I would have gone and on and on trying to convince the person that why he should or she should, and I think that kind of thing really helped, because I realized that it's all about just getting yourself in control and somewhere balancing it out. If I would have been too emotional, it would have anyway not helped, because it would have just kind of made me weaker and weaker. So I think that situation there, I was like, wow, I have really been able to handle this situation well, and I kind of patted myself, and I kind of said that yes, this is something which I need to do now more on a regular basis. And at home also, I think there have been situations where I have been able to deal with situations in a stronger way.
No, that's two very lovely examples, and I'm so heartened to hear that you have really committed to your practice. Whatever you learn in the coaching and the workshop, you've taken back, you have put it to practice, you're very committed, you stay with it, and then you're able to see the results. So, really hats off to you for that level of commitment. And as you can see, with commitment you see the results, so it's very worth it, right? Staying the course. So staying the course is also in a way related to the last base, the fifth base of Shakti leadership, which is how to then find congruence. Once you're whole and flexible on the inside, you have found presence and you have found Shakti from the inside, how do you bring it all together and to become on purpose with your mission in life? How do you first of all find your Swadharma? What is that unique gift you are here to bring the world? What is that work only you can do and be and bring into the world? Once you discover it, how do you stay the course? How do you remain on purpose? So congruence is about your inner self being congruent with the work you do in the world and how you are showing up in the world, right? So that there is no dissonance. Sometimes people are in work that is really not aligned with who they really are, and therefore they are not congruent. So I see you as very much a congruent leader, because you put into practice what you believe, and the work you do is a living extension of who you essentially are. So can you talk a bit about how you have taken your own personal purpose, your sense of being congruent, being on purpose, how you have taken it to the next level since you started this journey.
So when I started Masoom, it was with I was very clear that I wanted to do something for the underprivileged, the students who are working, who deserve good quality education, and they should get it. And with that will, I set up the organization and have been able to take it to this level. Even while I was actually, it's always been since my childhood, and since I've always been interested in people, I have always been wanting to do something. And after my college, of course, I was in the NSS and I was doing a lot of rural work. It's now that when I read paper and all, it's always been that child sexual abuse definitely troubles me. Rapes that happen on children, women, definitely troubles. And every time I read a news, I tell myself that I need to do something about it. I don't know what the government is doing, I don't know what the society is doing, but I need to do something about it. I don't know how, when, what time. And I realized that this has always been troubling me and always been bothering me, the violence that happens in the form of terrorism and stuff. And I have been telling myself that what is it that I can do to, I don't know, whatever it takes from me to able to stop this and or reduce whatever is happening. And with this, I have been, it's always been that it troubles, and sometimes I now don't even read the news. And after the sessions, and in Madhuban itself, when we were doing the workshop, there was an exercise where we had to write down what really bothers and how, with your inner this that you want to really want, how do you relate to the issues that you want to handle outside. And that's when we did that exercise of listing out what is it that bothers. I happened to list this out, that I really want to work on this social problem that is happening, on child sexual abuse, on women, violence with women, and overall peace, because it's terrorism, and my own family member has actually died in the terrorist attack. So it has been bothering, and I really, when I wrote it down, I realized that the way ahead is through a movement like this, where you actually spread. The only way ahead is to strengthen your own self, bring in that divine within yourself, build the power and share the power, so that it negates the negative power that exists. I strongly believe that if a few number of people with negative power can bring so much destruction and whatever to the world, negative things to the world, there are a lot of people with goodness, with good intentions, who can definitely negate this power, which is the negative power. So the positive power, the Shakti power, can definitely negate, then definitely slay down, and can definitely overcome the negative power that exists in the form of terrorism, in the form of violence against women, sexual. So I think there are few people who are there who are creating so many problems, and it is touching all of us. Then why can't people with good intentions, goodwill, divinity get together and counteract this power? And I think that power needs to be built now, because if we don't do that, this little power which is there now, which is a negative power, will overpower us. And it is seen in so many ways, and in the form of violence, not only here in India but across, terrorists, women violence. So I think it is just about the world now awakening to the fact that this Shakti should be translated into a real
force
which can overcome the negative negative
forces
forces
of the world.
of the world.
Wow, that's a beautiful summary. And you know, I remember it was interesting while we were in Madhuban, and you were coming up with this intention. You received a call or an email from some agency that's
Yes.
actually willing to fund you.
Yes, right. And they said that they want to exclusively work with girls, and the proposal is still underway. It's in the process, but I was quite surprised, and I was delighted because it was during the sessions, and they said that no, we don't want to do boys and girls. We want Masoom to work on girls and work on life skills and things. So I think it just fell in place at that point.
Yeah, there is this thing called synchronicity.
Yeah.
That when we are in presence, when we are in the flow,
Yeah.
and when we are on purpose, the universe kind of conspires to move us along and
Yeah.
comes to us.
Right.
We don't have to work very hard, it comes to us. And
Right.
to me, that was such a beautiful example of synchronicity, that
Yeah.
right there you arrived on purpose and you had clarity on what you want to do.
Yeah.
And lo, you receive an email saying, here we are and here's the money, and we are giving it to you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was quite amazing. Normally what would have taken you a lot of hard work and really knocking on many doors and getting a lot of rejection, and maybe finally you would have achieved some amount of funding.
Yeah.
Here, all you have to do is, find your clarity on what your purpose is and commit yourself fully to it. What I say, step both feet into your dharma.
Right.
The minute you did that, the universe just knocked on your door, and there was the synchronicity of this huge amount of money just being given to you, right?
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. And I think, it's a story that needs to be told, and that's why I'm sharing it here, that we sometimes think all this is foo-foo stuff and, doesn't really happen to real people we know. Well, it happened to you, and I was there when it happened. So it's always great validation that we are not alone, that we are part of something greater.
Yeah.
And that greater thing is what we are calling Shakti, and it is here in support of us, and all we have to do is align with it.
Yeah.
And we are held and guided and protected and taken along in quite magical ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So, in a way, that kind of sums up the 5 bases of Shakti leadership that you've spoken to: presence, Shakti, wholeness, flexibility, and congruence.
Yeah.
And just as in closing, is if you have a message for our listeners, what would it be?
Yeah. The message would be to just believe in your own self. More than looking outside, it is looking within, because there's so much within. One thing that I've learned is, to be able to, from all these sessions that I've done with Nilima, from the leadership retreat, that everything is there within you. Everything, every little thing is there within you. It's all about looking inside. It's just seeking, giving that time for yourself, seeking inside, and it's all there. Once you're full of your own, once you get that, then nothing can stop you from achieving whatever you want to. And that's it.
So thank you, Nikita. From my side, in closing, I'd like to thank you and honor you for your initiative and your presence and your commitment. It's been an absolute delight to see how you have taken hold of this coaching journey, the Shakti journey, with both hands. You've given your heart and soul to it. You've made your whole self available to it. It's been a real delight to work with someone like you. I can just see that you're on a growth spurt, and I feel honored to have played my small role in helping you awaken, unlock, and release your own Shakti. And I know that you're not just you, but your family and Masoom and this country and this world is going to benefit from what you're now going to bring. So May the force be with you. May Shakti be with you.
Thank you, Nilima, for showing me this light, because without you it wouldn't have been. And I thank God for again, somehow connecting me to you and to be able to do this. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And to all our listeners, happy Dashara once again, and may the Shanta Durga Shakti be in you and bring you the great power of peace, the peace that lies on the other side of all violence. Namaste.